Learn about the strides female entrepreneurs of color are making. Be inspired by their story and enlightened by their leadership, insight, and advice.
Welcome to She Leads Podcast, Leadership Empowerment for Women of Color. I'm your host, Nicole Walker, and this is Season 6, Episode 9, entitled Respect is the Foundation with Yali Giovanni. Go to NicoleWalker.net/blog to read Yali's bio and learn more about her and her business.
Okay, Yali, welcome to She Leads Podcast, Leadership Empowerment for Women of Color. We're excited to talk to you today and to learn more about your journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Nicole. I appreciate to be on She Leads Podcast, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
You're welcome. All right, so let's get started by you telling us about your background and what you currently do.
I am the founder and executive program director for Breaking Barriers, which is an after-school program for children, teenagers ages 13 to 19. And we include journaling, meditation, yoga. We do field trips as far as college tours, anything, the STEM programs, anything that's going to stimulate their mind and their, give them that educational background in addition to school, and make it fun at the same time. We have to incorporate fun in education because otherwise they won't get it. They're not even going to pay attention, honey.
Yes, I love that. Oh my goodness, right? Because kids don't think about meditation and did you say yoga too?
Yes.
Yoga, journaling in itself is so therapeutic, right? So in a sense, you're giving them therapy in addition to education. That's awesome.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you ended up where you currently are in this profession or in this field doing the service that you do.
Well, I definitely hadn't planned on this. This was definitely God sent, ordained, and assigned.
Okay.
And I had to answer to my calling because otherwise he was going to keep whooping me. Just keeping it real, honestly, because I was heading into the direction of the beauty industry.
Okay.
I'm a licensed esthetician and I taught aesthetics for, a few years, and I was heading into opening up my own beauty school, and God was like, nope, that is not the plan I have for you.
Wow.
But I was working at a private school, K through 12, and I saw the need. I didn't know exactly which direction God was going to take me in. I just asked him. There was a moment where I was talking to one of the teachers, and I had a deja vu moment. And I was like, oh my God, you were in my dreams,
Wow.
and she was like, really? I was like, yes, I dreamt this. And so in that moment, like my whole body, I felt heat from my feet all the way up. Like I felt that heat. So of course I didn't say anything to her because I didn't want her to think that I was crazy. After we part ways and I went into my office, I sort of cried a little and I was like, okay, God, I know you have me here. What is my purpose? What is it that you need me to do? And, went along about a month. Yeah, I would say about a couple weeks to a month passed by, and a student came to me and she was like, Miss Franklin, can I talk to you for a minute? And I was like, sure. So she was like, why don't you teach a class? You're the only adult in this building that understands us. Like, you really listen to us. And I was like, well, I'm not a teacher, hon, but maybe we can do something. I don't know. I'll think about it. And she was like, okay. So, that weekend I prayed about it, and I came back that following week and I was like, how about an after school program or something? Let's do something after school. If you guys are open to come and stay after school, I'll be here and we'll do something. And that's how Breaking Barriers was birthed, as an after school program. Wow. And we talked about everything under the sun. In that room, there was no holds barred. And everything we discussed in that room stayed in that room. That was the rule of thumb. If it was repeated, that person was no longer welcome into the group. And we kept that bond, and that's how we continue on until today.
I love that. And that just, so many thoughts running through my head, right? Like, people in general, but especially kids, need a safe place, right? So it sounds like you created a safe place for them. And a lot of people, I think, think that they listen, but a lot of people aren't great at listening. So for them to tell you that you actually listen, that means you listen, because kids can tell whether you're listening or not, right?
That's true.
So, so that's amazing. I love the whole
Thank you.
heat from the feet to the head. I've had some similar experiences, and I agree that you can't certain people you can't tell because they will think you're crazy, but people who understand, it's times when you can feel a comfort, a hug from God. Like, you can literally feel those kind of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's amazing. I love it. I'm glad you listened.
Let me tell you, I listen to children. That's it. Let's keep it real.
Wow.
I listen to children, because I've been in their shoes. I've been in the shoes where I'm talking and I'm sharing what an idea I have, and nobody's listening.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just talking to air.
Yeah. Well, good for you. I love that. All right. So you just talked about being in that situation and things like that. So tell us about what you wanted to be when you grew up.
To be honest, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And I didn't know quite exactly what type of doctor I was going to be, but I know that I enjoyed dissecting animals because in third, fourth grade, I'm from Panama, the country. And in third and fourth grade, we had lab, and in lab, we were actually able to dissect animals.
Wow.
And I've dissected pigs, iguanas. We have dissected different animals. And
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And so because of that, I wanted to become a doctor because it was fascinating to me. But that was what I wanted to be when I was a little girl.
Okay. All right. So I guess yours is different. And it's funny because mine, I wanted to be a doctor too. Right.
Really?
Yeah. But I used to think doctor as far as hospital, because that's all I knew. Right. I feel like growing up, all I knew was doctor, lawyer. Like, I feel like that's all I knew. That's all everybody talked about, doctor, lawyer, right? So I chose doctor. Maybe it's from the Huxtables. I don't know where it came from, right? And then I thought that I kind of just didn't do what I wanted to do, but I actually do want to go for my doctorate. So I'm like, well, I never realized that you could be a doctor outside of the hospital. As I gotten older, I've learned oh yeah, you could be a doctor in anything. So we'll see if the stars are aligned for me to be a doctor, but that's an aside. What I was going to say was, usually I can see with the different women how what they wanted to be, even though they might not be exactly that, is still kind of in what they're doing. Do you see that with you wanting to be a doctor, and do you see it still being a part of what you're doing?
Not in the sense of surgery. Perhaps psychologist, yes. I see myself as a PhD, having my PhD in psychology. I definitely see that. So that type of doctor, absolutely, but not in the sense of surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a sense, still a doctor, because as I was listening to you, in my head, I'm like, well, she's still kind of you're getting down, you're being therapeutic to these kids, you're dissecting, helping them dissect their feelings, kind of their emotions. So I kind of still saw, I just want to hear your thoughts, but I still saw all of that aligning together, and hopefully you just go forward and get your doctorate in psychology.
Well, as you said, if it's aligned in the stars, it will happen.
Yes, I love it. All right. So tell us a little bit about the kind of upbringing you had as a child.
I had a fun childhood. I grew up in Colón, Panama, which is Central America. So my first language is Spanish. And I migrated here to the States in 1989. I'm not going to tell you my age because, they wouldn't know. But, it was 7 of us in a household. I'm number 6. And my brother, who was 3 years older than he and I were like buddies. I wanted to be like him, so I was a tomboy, jumping on roof and climbing on things. That was just me. But I had a fun childhood up until 4th grade, when I will say my emotions took a turn. My dad had migrated to the United States ahead of us to make sure that he was okay to bring the family over. And I just couldn't cope with school. Like I had totally and completely just dejected out of school. And math is not my favorite subject, but I struggle a lot. And I remember my aunt, who was a teacher at the school, she was like, you're not going to amount to anything. You're not smart enough. And she'll compare me to my sister and all that good stuff. So aside from that experience, I would say my childhood was fun.
Good.
Yeah.
That's funny because even listening to that, to me, that makes sense as to why you're there then helping other kids because you did struggle and things like that. So that's amazing.
Right.
I love it. I love it. All right. So can you tell us about a pivotal point in your life and how it shaped who you are today?
Oh, woo, woo. Yeah. I lived in Chicago for about 15 years, and I was married. I had my home and everything, but my husband was abusive, so I experienced domestic violence. And in order for me to survive and still be alive before you today, I had to make a drastic move. And
Mm,
I migrated here to Florida, where I am, in 2009. And I tell you, if it wasn't for me move, I don't think I would be before you. I'm just going to be
wow.
honest with you. And I didn't know what I wanted to do because I didn't move here because I wanted to. It was a necessity. It was survival for me. So I went through my emotional breakdowns and all that good stuff. Like it literally broke me to pieces, and I had to piece myself back together to be whole.
Mm,
And in that moment, I realized, okay, I experienced this for a reason. It wasn't something that I was looking for because it was subtle. He wasn't always that way. Not before me. But when we got married, after I said I do, oh, everything changed. Everything changed. It was literally like a switch went off and he was a whole different man. But that taught me to be vigilant and to listen to my inner and higher self because we get the nudges. We get the feeling, that gut feeling when it's telling us, no, something is wrong, follow it. So because of that experience, I am in a better situation now because I listen to my higher self now, more so than anything, because the signs were there. And I can honestly tell you, I ignore them because I'm like, oh no, he has a good side. Like, he's great here and he does this great and all these excuses. But then what about the abuse? It was mental, it was emotional, and it was physical. It was all three,
wow.
you know? But
Yeah.
I'm here today, so I'm not, let's get out of that negative, low
Yes.
energy and
No,
get back
but
to the high
no, you know what? Like I look at stuff so different, right? Because
Yeah,
good, bad, in between. It's part of your story, right? And your story
right.
can help to save another person. So as I was listening to you, you inspired me to go get off the script. Let's just do a PSA. What are some of the warning signs or some of the things
Right.
for people to look for that may be in a situation right now that are listening or will listen that need to know, like, if you see this, you need to
Right.
get to moving because it could only get worse or it may only get worse. We hope it doesn't. But can you just
Right.
share a little bit about that if you don't mind?
For me, it was, oh, you don't have to wear makeup because you're naturally beautiful. And you get that, you're like, oh, he loves me the way I look, blah blah blah. Then it's, oh, don't wear these tight jeans, or skirts has to be below your knee, or don't talk to such and such. And then it was isolation. When you get off work, come straight home, or you think that when you get off work and he's calling you to talk to you on your way home that he's just being sweet. No, that's control. He is
Mm,
timing you. And don't let me be 5 minutes late. Where were you? What were you doing? Who were you talking to? The signs were there and I was ignoring it because I'm thinking, oh, he cares about me. No, that's control.
wow.
That's control.
You just touched me because that sounds like my whole ex-marriage. Look, that was well, you're right though. Like that's not blatant. People think you gotta have a black eye. Like, no, just
Right.
small stuff. Thanks for
Absolutely.
that. Thanks for that. Somebody somewhere needs to hear that. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on. So can you tell us what you consider to be maybe one strength, one weakness, and tell us what you do to mitigate your weakness?
My weakness, I have few. I like to see the good in people, and it has often backfired. I'm always helpful, trying to find a solution to somebody's problem when in actuality they're just plotting against you,
Hmm.
steal your ideas, talk about you. Oh, I so love the way you are, I love your energy, but then talk about how you always too high energy. Why you always so happy? I'm like, what? But whatever. I learned from that. But that is one of my weaknesses, is that I always try to see the good in people and not really accept who they are. And what I've learned from that, which recently I'm like, okay, if they showing you who they are the first time, believe them.
Yeah.
Believe them. You're not God. You know, you're not God. That's who they are. And it's okay. Walk away. I learned to just walk away and just keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know, so that is a huge weakness. A strength of mine, I would say I'm just straightforward. And people can't take that. You know, some folks don't understand that. And I'm okay with that. I've learned to be okay being myself.
Yeah.
And if they can't take it, that's not your people. Keep it moving. Bye, Felicia.
I love it. Yes, 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 and yes. Thank you so much. And I agree. I'm not gonna even look. I didn't know how kindred of spirits we were, you know. But yes, you're in good company. Okay. All right. So, can you tell us what you're currently doing to improve yourself personally and/or professionally?
Yes. So personally, I am like a yogi. Listen, I am going to earn that master in yoga. You hear me? I love it so much. I didn't think I was going to even like it, but I yoga every day. I meditate every day. I stretch every day. Now I'm into acro yoga, which is exercising. If you see my Facebook, I'm stretching my legs up. I'm in the air flying. Yes, darling. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Right on the beach, right on the water. I love it. So that's what I'm doing for myself personally, because it helps me de-stress. It helps me to release all my traumas from childhood up until adulthood. Doing all that just helped me to be a better me. Professionally, I continue to do continuing education. Everything that I see, mental health, because I'm dealing with inner city children, so I want to be able to address the issues they have and experiencing in the moment. Different techniques on how to help them. I'm becoming a certified trauma incident reduction specialist. So I'm adding that into the program so that they can have a full one-stop shop health center for the youth. You know, mental health. So they have yoga, they have therapy, they have acro yoga, they have journaling, they have meditation. I want that for our youth. They deserve it just as much as us adults.
I love that. I love that. It just to me shows your caliber of wanting to show up in excellence. Some people do stuff half, but you're going to do it whole. You're like, I'm going to get this certification, even though you're already in the program, right? So some people say, well, I already got my program. I don't need anything, you know, but you're like, no, we're going to take it to this level and that level and that level. So congratulations to you for even wanting to do that and moving forward with that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we'll have to talk later. I want to hear more about this acro. I never even heard of that. Acro yoga? I heard of hot yoga. I didn't hear anything about this Yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay. All right. So tell us about your morning routine. What's your morning routine look like?
As soon as I wake up, stretching, meditation, yoga, prayer. If I don't do that, my day is not going to go well. I already know. If I skip one, I already know my day is going to just go off the chain. Okay. Simply because you know how routines work. You know, once you get off one, baby, it's hard to get back on.
Yeah.
You know, and I know for me spiritually, if I'm not in line with the higher power from the beginning, and I'm not saying that I'm in a bad mood. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that my mind is not in sync with my physical, because I'm not in one line. So it's important for me to meditate. It's important for me to do yoga. Definitely important for me to stretch, you know, because a sister got to keep it moving for these kids. I have a purpose.
I know that's right. Yes, I love that. Wait, yes, a purpose. Yes, 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 yes. I love that, right? So from what I heard, your morning routine is just as much for the people you're serving as it is for you. You know, you just gotta have a purpose, right? So if you aren't where you need to be, then you can't be who you're supposed to be for all of the people that you're here to serve. So I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. So you said something else, which I want to know more about. Now, to me, yoga and stretching was the same thing. How does that look different?
Yoga is a form, to me, this is
Okay.
just my expressions and my experience.
Okay.
To me, yoga is also a form of prayer.
Okay.
So it's not just the physical activity, it's also getting in line and in sync with my higher power, which is God.
Okay. Okay.
So, and that's, I don't know if you do or not, certain mudras, which are hands, and gestures, which are hand, they call it mudras, mean something. They each have a meaning, which is a higher connection. So that's why I say, I have to do those things because they're in line with my spiritual being, and I have to be spiritually grounded and strong because I'm serving a multitude of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. I love that. Yes. And I've done yoga, and I can say that it is a spirit connection. I haven't done it in a while, which I do want to add it back, but you make me feel like I need to do it right now today. Right now. I love that. I love the passion.
Thank you.
All right. So can you tell us about the latest book that you read or maybe listened to?
Yes. I'm reading a book. It's called Your Subconscious Mind. And again, it's not only for me, but it's also for me to serve my community that I'm serving. I need to understand the power of the subconscious mind because that is where everything resonates. Our weaknesses, our fears, everything that we are able to do in the physical begins in our subconscious mind. So I need to understand more for the youth. Like I can get it from me, but from a youth perspective, how can I better serve them without having to be, oh, you need to be better than this, or, you need to do this. How can I speak to them, speak that life into them for them to understand that you can change your subconscious mind? That's where your power begins.
Yes.
Right? And so I'm reading that book. Unfortunately, I can't think of the author's name.
Oh, no, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Or
yeah, that's the book that I'm currently
project
reading.
for them to research. The subconscious mind, right?
Yes.
You gotta want it. You gotta want it.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, so tell us about the toughest struggle you had to overcome and how you overcame it, if that's different from the pivotal point in your life.
It is different. When I migrated to the United States from Panama, that was a culture shock for me. Let me be honest with you. I come from a city where it's 99.999% Black folks. Okay. And I came into a new country, a new city where I barely saw any Black folks because I'm in California at this point. And I'm like, where all these white people come from? And I'm fascinated that their eyes are green and blue and their hair is thin and, blonde. Child, I was like, where am I? But, that was a culture shock for me. Then I didn't speak English well. So I'm struggling with that. So it's a language barrier and it's culture barrier. So it was so many things at one time. And how I overcame that is one day, this kid in 8th grade, we're on the bus and he was just making fun of me because I didn't speak English. So I got home and I looked in that mirror and I said to myself, I'm going to learn English to the point where no one knows that I speak another language.
Wow.
And I tell you, I stopped watching telenovelas, which is soap operas in Spanish. Child, I stopped watching everything in Spanish and I started watching everything in English and writing down words the way I thought they sounded. And I would look it up in the dictionary, pronounce and enunciate the words. And that's how I learned English, aside from ESL in school. But that was a barrier that I had to, it was a hurdle, honey.
Yes. I love that, but I love how, you could have went into a depression or woe is me, only decided to stick with other Spanish people if they were even around. I'm thinking hopefully it was like one at least. But you could have chose to just go around where Spanish people were, but you're like, you know what? Oh, okay, yes, that is a weakness. Now we're going to figure out how to turn it into not so much of a weakness. So that's amazing. And
Absolutely.
That's what we have to do on a daily basis, right? Like we're not all strong in every area, but that doesn't mean that we can't get better if we want to. People gonna always have an opinion. So if somebody got an
Right.
opinion about something that you don't care about, then don't let them have you driving yourself crazy to fix it. But if it's something that does bother you, then use it as an opportunity. So I love that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Tell us about an aha moment that you had lately and what changed as a result.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't like putting myself out there. Like I don't like being on video and everybody looking at me. So someone challenged me to post a video. And I did it. And I posted it. And I was like, and I had so many text messages and inboxes from that video. I didn't expect it. And it was like, oh, like you were scared all this time, girl. All this time, I'm like, why was I scared? And I was like, you know what? You can change lives. The world won't know who you are and what you're doing if you're not sharing it. And that is my motto now. When I'm posting now, or when I finally decide to go live, because I'm doing videos, I gotta do it step by step.
Okay. I can relate. So I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
When I get the courage to go live, then I know it's not that difficult and it's okay, But that was my aha moment. I was like, look at that, I'm changing life. And it was actually young kids that was sending me messages like, oh my gosh, thank you, because my parents don't understand me. And because I was talking about parents, how important it is for you to listen to your children, and don't always assume or act as if you know everything. It's okay if you don't, and it's okay for you to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But listen to them, because that's all they're looking for. They don't really need much from you. All they want is for you to listen. And that's what I shared, and I got so many messages about that one little 2-minute video.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
You talking to me, but my son talk a lot. If I listen to him, I wouldn't have nothing else to do all day. So what's the remedy for me? Because that's not realistic for me. I can't look. He talks from sun up to sundown. He barely stops talking.
How old is he?
6.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so look, I like that advice, but in my life, that I'm not listening to him all the time. I just can't do it. I'll be tuned out. He'd be like, Mom, it really makes me upset when you don't listen to me. Ryan, you talk all the time.
Or you can say, well, mommy needs a little moment.
Okay.
You can tell him that mommy needs a little moment, or mommy has to do something, but I need my time. I can't listen to you, and I want to give you my undivided attention, but if I'm busy, I can't do that.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Because then I'd be like, could you just give me some peace, right? So then he flips it on me when I start asking him for something. He's like, Ma, I just want some peace. I'm like, you know what?
Child.
I bought it on myself, So.
You sure did.
I love that. So tell us about a leadership principle or practice that governs your life.
There's a few. The main one is treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't care what degree you have. You don't respect people, your leadership is 0 to none. Because you have to understand that at the end of the day, we're human beings.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, no matter how old you are, respect is the foundation. You can get people to do anything for you. And I've done it.
Yeah.
As long as you are humble and respectful, you don't even have to really be caring. Humble and respectful, that will drive you to the end of the world if you need to be. And I truly believe that is give what you want in return. I live by that.
I like that. To me, that's a foundation, right? But then I even like to take it a step further, because to me, that's the baseline. Like, that's what you should do without a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
But then once you get that down pat, actually take the time to get to know people so you can treat them how they want to be treated. Because let's just say they don't want to be treated the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
You won't know that until you get to know them. So at least give them that baseline. Absolutely. Then try to put in that extra effort to go above and beyond and get to know them and give them what they're actually looking for, because then that builds a deeper and entirely different connection.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I take the time out to get to know people. And you don't have to ask 1,001 questions.
Yeah.
You can ask 5 basic questions. What do you like to do? Where do you go when you leave work? Or, do you read books? What's your favorite books? You got to ask questions so that they can feel welcome.
Yes. Because
at the end of the day, you're with these people 8, 9, 10 hours out of the day. You're with them more than you are with your family. So they become your family.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who they are, then you just coexisting in a place for 10 hours. I can't live like that. I'm sorry.
Right? Yeah. And then just like you said, though, you miss an opportunity. Like you said, people will go to the end of the earth for you if you make them feel valued, feel important.
Absolutely.
And it shouldn't be phony, because people can smell phony a mile away. Yeah, and it's not hard to do, like you said. So I love that. All right. So do you have a recommended resource that you can share with the listeners? It could be something you use personally, professionally, for yoga, for meditation, daily life, business, whatever.
For me, success starts within. How you feel about yourself, who you think you are, it paves the way for you, whether it's that day or whether it's long term, whether it's short term. So spend time with you. Know you, respect you, because you can't require anyone else to respect you if you don't respect yourself. So spend more time with you. I wouldn't call that a resource. I don't know what to name it.
Okay.
But everything begins with you.
Yeah.
And that's just the honest truth. I could sit here and I can use all these educated words, because I can use big words, but no, let's be real and let's bring it down so people can understand. The more you understand who you are, you love who you are, you appreciate who you are, the world is endless.
Yes.
Then you won't be asking me why I'm so happy all the time.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Great advice. And I would say, yes, that's advice, right? So to me, I was thinking, though, as a resource, maybe a journal can help people to get to this place. That could be a possible resource as an assistant to help.
Yes. Maybe. Yes. I actually have a workbook.
Okay.
A self-development workbook that I did myself when I experienced my divorce. And I created the workbook, and now I have it on Amazon, and it's called Building Inner Strength and Power for a Better You.
Building Inner Strength and Power for a Better You? Yes. Okay. All right. We'll link that on the website. We'll link that out. So check out NicoleWalker.net/blog. Look for Yali's blog post about her episode, and you'll see the link for that. All right. Awesome. Okay. So do you have a favorite quote that you want to share with us?
It's in Spanish. Ooh.
We might have Spanish listeners. So can you give us in Spanish, and then can you give us the English translation?
La vida es una sola. Hay que vivir un paso sobre otro. You only have one life. You make one step at a time, and that's how you will survive. I think that's the translated version. Because when you translate, it doesn't always translate as it is.
Yep.
And sometimes it doesn't make sense in English. But yeah. And that's from my Uncle Fred.
Oh, wow.
Fred Franklin.
Yes. All right, Uncle Fred. Okay. Yes. So I love that. Would you say, like, if you had to summarize it yourself, it's basically saying you have one life, take one step at a time?
Take one step at a time.
I love that. Because that's all you can do, right? You can't,
that's all you can do. And he stopped me one day. I was stressing. He just grabbed my hand and he whispered that into my ears twice. Wow. And I literally calmed down. And from that moment, I was like, you know what? Stop stressing. Yeah. So when I find myself stressing, I say it to myself, it's only one life. Take it one day at a time. So I keep saying it to myself so that I can understand that, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Okay, so we're done with the interview portion per se, right? I like to add a little fun tidbit on the end, and this is a little bit of me being selfish, and then a little bit of me sharing, right? Because I love travel. And I think everyone should experience travel or should be in the mindset of enjoying travel. So
Right.
tell us about where your last vacation was, what your
Mhm.
favorite vacation spot is, and where your next vacation will be.
Okay. So my last vacation was in Panama. I went back home to visit, but I didn't stay with family.
Okay.
I was literally a tourist in my own country.
Good for you. That's awesome. I did that before New York. Well, I'm not from New
Really?
York, I'm from New Jersey, but I went to New
Okay.
York and did the whole walking around Wall Street, stuff that no one that lives there does. Like, so
Right.
and that's cool. Tell us more.
Right. And then my favorite vacation spot was Bahamas. Oh my gosh, that water is clear
Oh wow.
and beautifully blue. Love Bahamas. The food was delicious.
Okay.
And where I would love to go next will be Ghana,
Nice.
Africa.
Okay. So you're manifesting that one.
Yes, I am, honey.
I know that's right. Okay. Yali, thank you so much. I appreciated talking with you and learning more about you. So before I let you go, do you want to tell our listeners about any services or products that you have, ways they can get in contact with you, any way they can support you if they're interested in doing so?
Yes, actually, we're on IG as Breaking Barriers B Barriers 1. B as in boy, Barriers 1. That's our IG. And you can always contact us on info@bbarriers.org. info@bbarriers.org. We're currently working on our website, so I don't want to give you an address right now, but we are working on it.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you, Yali, again. And I will include all of your Instagram and contact information out on the website. So if anyone
Thank you.
wants to check the website to get that information, NicoleWalker.net/blog, and look for Yali's particular post, and you'll see all of that information there. Again, Yali, thank you so much for joining us on She Leads Podcast, Leadership Empowerment for Women of Color. We appreciate you sharing your journey and your insight with us today.
Thank you for having me. Namaste.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of She Leads Podcast, Leadership Empowerment for Women of Color. Please be sure to go to our Facebook page at She Leads Podcast to like or follow us. Also, let us know if this episode inspired you by leaving a comment under the post for Season 6, Episode 9. Thanks. Until next time, be empowered and empower on.